What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Football from Up North podcast. I'm your host, Clayton, riding solo once again for this waiver wire, Week 15 waiver wire show. Nobody wants to join me, I guess. So I guess it's just me again. So a couple things here. First of all, I want to mention I apologize about our Week 14 Slouch Vouch episode. It did not release due to technical difficulties. My technical difficulties. I think my 4-year-old was playing around with the mic a little bit, and I did not check that before I recorded. And unfortunately, it sounded like complete shit. So that's why I didn't release it. Keep in mind, it was a good episode. Habby nailed a couple big ones. I won't never tell him that, though. So I'm going to skip over that when it comes to our Week 15 one. But let's just say that Habby did nail his vouchers and slouches last week. I once again was terrible. So maybe just take his advice and not mine. But except for the waiver wire show, we're going to give you guys a few add-ons from the a crazy week technically of we got some injuries here, which I'll touch on real quick. I did mean to bring this up on my computer, but unfortunately I forgot to do that. So bear with me. Okay, so big guys that we did see go down with injuries. Deebo Samuel looks like it's a high ankle sprain. Technically, he's going to be out week 15 for sure. Most likely, he's going to be out a couple weeks. Lamar Jackson, left PCL sprain, doubtful for week 15. Hopefully, he's back week 16. Saquon Barkley, neck injury, day-to-day, probable for week 15. Ken Walker, right ankle injury, questionable. T. Higgins, that was a big one. Hamstring strain, questionable for week 15. I'm going to lean on the side of most likely being doubtful, unfortunately, because they also lost Tyler Boyd in that one as well. So really, you only got Jamar Chase there, and hopefully Hayden Hurst can get back this week. But then I'll just fire through these other ones. Brock Purdy, oblique injury, probable. Huntley, doubtful with concussion. Pickett, concussion, questionable. Other big names, Damian Pierce, ankle sprain, questionable. Keep an eye on practice reports this week. Jeff Wilson, hip injury. That's a big one you want to keep an eye on. If not, you're going to fire Mostert up as an RB1. Mike Boone, right ankle or high ankle sprain. He's going to be out again. He just got back from injury. Tyreek Hill, left ankle injury, probable. And like I mentioned, Tyler Boyd, most likely doubtful with a finger dislocation. And unfortunately, Corey Davis, which was the guy I counted on as a sleeper last week, concussion protocol, most likely. We've seen these guys miss at least a week due to concussion. So doubtful for him this week. And a couple big ones that came out. This is, I'm recording this right now as we speak. Monday night games on. We did see Kyler Murray go down with a knee injury. He's most likely going to be missing some time. And also Ramondre Stevenson. So I'll just touch on a couple guys you can fill in there if you need to. So without further ado, let's just jump into the show here. Week 15 waiver wire. So my top 5 ads for the week. I'm going to start off with the number one guy here is Zonovan Knight. Still, he's a little bit higher owned, 55% owned. We weren't quite sure what was going to happen when we did see Michael Carter come back into the picture. But you know what, Zonovan Knight, he still dominated this backfield. I think he's a priority ad this week if he's still available. Since he's been on the field with, without Michael Carter, he has been, he's dominant. I mean, this is 3 straight games. He's had 7 with at least 17 touches and put up double-digit fantasy points during that time. So if he's on waivers, basically, if you want to go by his 17 touches, double-digit PPR points, and at least 75 scrimmage yards in each of the last 3 games, you're going to be wanting to fire him up, especially if you lost guys like I mentioned. Ramondre Stevenson, he's a good fill-in for that. You don't have to worry about Michael Carter moving forward. I just think he's still going to have his little bit of a role, but it looks like that this Jets team likes what they see in Bam Knight, so I think that's why they're going to just continue to feed him. So, the Jets face the Lions first week of fantasy playoffs. So, Knight's not only getting the volume, but he's also a primary goal line back. So, I'm blowing all of my fab on him if he's still available. So go out and get him now. Sit back and enjoy the ride of this stud running back, because I think this is the guy that's going to be on the roster next year as well. So just look out. And I'm good. Be forewarned. I have loaded up as I wrote all these down, the guys I'm looking at, I realized apparently I have love for this Jets and Detroit game, but not the case. Just these are guys that have stuck out and that are going to be able to help you win fantasy playoffs, I think, in my opinion. So next guy I'm going to go to is DJ Chark of the Lions this time. Another solid performance on Sunday. Caught 6 of his 7 targets for over 90 yards and another score. He now has either a touchdown or over 90 yards in each of the last 3 weeks. And he continues to operate as that wide receiver 2 behind St. Brown. Even with Jameis Williams back in the mix, I still think Chark has done enough that he's a favorite of Goff. Let's be honest. He's been targeted heavily since he's been back. And this Lions offense is rolling right now. They're scoring at will. And just with how effective it is, I think Chark's a must add and startable this week. Even though the Jets team has been a little bit, stout against wide receivers, I still do like Chark. I'm playing him pretty much every week from this point forward, and throwing at least 20 to 25% of my fab at him as well. Another guy going back to the Jets side of the ball, Elijah Moore, 27% rostered. Corey Davis, like I mentioned, Corey Davis left this game. Moore stepped in as an every down wide receiver, finally what we wanted to see. He led the team in targets with 10, caught 6 for 60, ran just 4 fewer routes than Garrett Wilson, which was surprising to me. I mean, we've seen Wilson dominate in this offense, this target share and everything like that. He's still going to be valuable. I just think that this Jets team will throw the ball enough that he can definitely make. I mean, if Corey Davis was relevant in fantasy, I think Elijah Moore could do that with Corey Davis most likely being out next week. The Jets are going to throw the ball a ton. And I mean, Elijah Moore is a stud. When what we have seen of him from last year, he hasn't really got much this year going, but I do think this is the week it turns around. Great matchup once again against the Lions. Even if Flacco starts with, Mike White being banged up and stuff like that, even if Flacco's in there, Moore's like a wide receiver 3 with upside for me. And still playable. So, I mean, 10 to 15% should be enough to go and get him on your roster for fantasy playoffs. Go to the running back side now. Chuba Hubbard of the Panthers. He's been impressive over the last couple weeks. Almost 100 total yards and a touchdown on 17 touches on Sunday. Even with Foreman leading this backfield in carries, Hubbard looked like the better back for most of the game. So, I mean, over the last 2 weeks, he's had over 30 carries, which to me has flex appeal in most leagues. There's a good chance that Hubbard sees an even bigger workload against the Steelers next week. That's why I do like him moving forward. I do think that this team is going to be able to play with the lead most likely against the Steelers. I do think you're going to see another probably 30 plus rushes out of this team. And I do think that Chuba Hubbard can be a nice flex add this week. Last guy I'll touch on, going to the quarterback position. Like I mentioned, if you're missing Kyler Murray, a guy like Ryan Tannehill, I mean, 33% owned, it makes me want to puke in my mouth. But I mean, for fantasy purpose, he put together a nice solid outing last week without his top receiver. So he threw for over 250, 2 touchdowns against the Jags. I'm not sure it really matters who Tannehill has on the field to throw the ball to. I think doesn't matter. I still think he's going to be able to get the ball out, get the ball to these receivers, the 2 tight ends, performed very well on the weekend or on Sunday, to go along with Woods. So, I mean, with the fact that Burks most likely should be back after missing 1 game with a concussion, I mean, Tannehill scored at least 18 fantasy points in 3 of the last 5 games. Great matchup. Could be the easily the highest scoring game of the week this week against the Chargers. And I mean, the Titans are going to continue to play at a high level because they're trying to basically secure another AFC South title. So, if you need a guy this week to not only just to stream, but if you need somebody to, take over for that Kyler Murray, stuff like that, I think Tannehill could be the guy. Start him this week. And if you need to be aggressive, if you did lose Murray, I would be throwing all my, at least 50% of my fab on him because I don't think a lot of people are going to like him, but they do have not a bad fantasy matchup moving forward. Now, just a couple other guys I'll touch on briefly. We got Chase Claypool, the Bears 46% rostered. I mean, you should see a bigger target share coming out of the bye with Mooney on IR. We got Richie James of the Giants, scored in 3 of the last 4 weeks, is earning the most targets on the team, and that will need to pass the ball more down the stretch. This Giants team is struggling right now with wide receivers, so Richie James seems to be that wide receiver one. Like we mentioned, keep an eye on him, but Brock Purdy, the 49ers, 9% owned, played very well on Sunday. Threw for a couple scores, rushed in another one, completed over 75% of his passes, and that was against a good Bucs defense. So now the Niners face the Seahawks this week, who are allowing the 14th most fantasy points to quarterbacks. I do like Purdy this week. I do think he's going to most likely I'll be vouching for him this week as long as he's healthy, against the Seahawks team. And the last one I want to talk about is Chris Moore of the Texans, 2% owned. Crazy to think about, but I mean, caught 10 to 15 targets for over 120 yards on Sunday. Now has a favorable matchup coming up against the Chiefs. We know that the Texans are going to be playing from behind as usual, and this Chiefs team has been very vulnerable to giving up fantasy points to wide receivers. I think Davis Mills likes him, and he should continue to operate as a wide receiver one with Cooks and Collins both being out. So I would go and get him if you can, if you need some depth or if you do need some help. I mean, I got a couple teams that I'm desperate right now because I lost guys like Deebo Samuel. I lost to Ramondre Stevenson. But speaking on that, Ramondre Stevenson coming into the game, I imagine Damian Harris is going to be back. He didn't practice all week due to his thigh issue. He was inactive as of Monday night. We did see Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris kind of take over that backfield. But I do believe that when Harris should be back. So, I mean, if he happens to be on your waiver wire, go get him. If it comes out that he's not, I'm not sure which guy to go and get. But as of right now, it looks like it was Kevin Harris was the one that had the most carries. I mean, he's right now he's 7 for 26. So not great stats, but maybe just a guy that you want to keep an eye on in case Damian Harris is out. So that's going to take care of my week 15 waiver wire episode. And real quick here, I'm going to touch on our partners. Sorry, 247clash.com, www.247clash.com. It is a DFS site that is a player versus player format based on fantasy points. You've heard us talk about this for the last probably 3-4 weeks now. If you haven't already done so, get on there, go sign up, deposit using referral code North. Start playing this weekend. You got to be a Canadian to play this. They don't have it in the States yet. Sorry, my American listeners. Now, this is just something that it's like it's pool based, so it's basically player versus player based on fantasy points. Like I mentioned, there could be multiple winners. I mean, they're going to give you a set of lines to play each week. You go about and you picked pretty much who's favored. If you don't like for example, like it was I think it was Jalen Hurts was favored by 10.5 fantasy points this week. No, I can't even keep in mind now who they were playing, but anyways, he crushed that. And I mean, I went totally against it. I don't think I did very well this week. I won't find out till tomorrow. But outside of that, head over to www.247clash.com. Sign up using referral code North. I will put it in the show notes as well, and start playing with us. We are going to start touching a little bit more on that, maybe touch on a little bit more of those lines. If people want that, you know where to find me on Twitter at Canadian Clay FF. Hit me up on our Facebook private group too with any questions or whatever. But outside of that, good luck in the first week of fantasy playoffs, and we will talk to you guys Wednesday or Thursday. Peace.